Now, friends and participants, we move on to our next session. And in that, we are having with us Mr. V.R. Mehta. And Mr. V.R. Mehta and Mr. D.R. Mehta are brothers. And perhaps you know something about Mr. D.R. Mehta because Mr. D.R. Mehta was awarded the Padma Bhushan in 2008. And Mr. D.R. Mehta was a 1981 batch Rajasthan cadre IAS officer. And after holding many senior positions in the government of Rajasthan, he became a deputy governor of the Reserve Bank of India. And thereafter, he became the chairman of the SEBI, a post that he held for 7 years until his retirement. I think we all remember the long tenure that Mr. D.R. Mehta had as its SEBI chairman. In 1975, Shri D.R. Mehta founded the Bhagwan Mahavir Viklang Sahayata Samiti, the BMVSS, which is the parent body of Jaipur Foot. Mr. D.R. Mehta is its founder and the chief patron. He is the heart and soul of BMVSS, and he continues to be actively committed whole time to the work of Jaipur Foot. Mr. V.R. Mehta was awarded the Padma Shri honor by the President of India in 2015. He is a special advisor and a former trustee of the Tata Trust, which is chaired by Shri Ratan Tata. Tata Trusts are India's oldest, largest, and most respected philanthropic organizations engaged in large-scale humanitarian activities in India. He was also earlier director of Tata Motors for over 11 years. Mr. Mehta has also served as a director on the boards of many other large companies. He is also the executive president of the Bhagwan Mahavir Viklang Sahayata Samiti, New Delhi. He is also the founder, president, and now president emeritus of Mahavir Philippine Foundation Incorporated in Manila, Philippines. Mr. Mehta was joint secretary of the Government of India in the Ministry of Shipping and Transport. He was then deputed by the Government of India to the Asian Development Bank in Manila, Philippines, and served there for over 14 years. Prior to going to Manila, he served the Government of India in various senior positions such as Chief Administrator and Chief Controller of Purchase, Indian Railways, the founder managing director of the Dredging Corporation of India, etc. Along with his wife, Mrs. Vimla Mehta, he was very closely and intimately associated for over 14 years with the humanitarian work of Mother Teresa in Manila. He and Mrs. Mehta have jointly written and published a book which has been published by the Publication Division of the Government of India, Mother Teresa, Some Inspirations on the work and life of Mother Teresa, including their own long experience of working with her. The book was originally published in Hindi and later translated into English, Malayalam, and Telugu. Mr. Mehta has also been the recipient of some rare honors in the Philippines. Both Mr. and Mrs. Mehta were honored in 1993 by the mayor of Manila with the presentation of the key of the city of Manila and their adoption as son and daughter of Manila, respectively. In 2010, the couple were again honored by the Philippine Parliament, which is the House of Representatives of the Philippines, by a special resolution of the Parliament, appreciating and commending their humanitarian work in that country. So Mr. V.R. Mehta has had a long stint in Manila also. At present also, their centers are working in Manila. And we can give him the credit of taking the humanitarian effort international because he took it to Philippines and he's contributed to such an extent that the House of Representatives itself passed a resolution for him and his wife. Mr. Mehta was telling me once that when I was conversing with him, that when he went to the USA at a particular time, there Mr. Tata was also there, and the President of the United States happened to mention the Jaipur Foot. And Mr. Mehta was very surprised as to how come the Jaipur Foot story has reached the ears of the President also. But Mr. Mehta says that whereas one foot costs whatever amount of money in India, it is the 10 times the cost in USA. So the kind of the reduction of costs that have been created and engendered here in India, the manner in which the technology has been developed, and the manner in which they have even worked with Stanford University to get the right technology for the Jaipur foot. The people who are not benefited, or they are the Divyang, they have been hugely benefited by Mr. V.R. Mehta's effort, and that is how both the brothers have been awarded the Padma Awards, and their contribution to the nation is huge. This particular session is going to be on the social initiative which has been carried out by Mr. V.R. Mehta, and I believe that every organization can benefit from Mr. V.R. Mehta's effort, because the benefit goes to the concerned person absolutely free. So let us, I'm very excited to hear from Mr. V.R. Mehta. Mr. V.R. Mehta, just like Mr. Kabir Bedi, is also a very good conversationalist. So we'll hear him out now. And let's see what Mr. V.R. Mehta has to tell us. So, sir, can we start with your story, sir?
Am I there now? I have to unmute, start video.
Yes, sir. We can hear you. By the way, participants, Mr. Mehta is about 90 years of age, and see how tech savvy he is and presenting himself.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to address this august and, may I say, a cerebral audience of the principal chief commissioners, and various officers of IRS about the Jaipur foot, which is my love and passion. I have been blessed to have been associated with not only Jaipur foot, but two other philanthropic organizations. As Mr. Mishra mentioned, one of them is Mother Teresa, and the other, both in fact Mr. Mishra had mentioned, the Tata Trust. So all the three, I would say, the cream de la cream of the philanthropic organizations, at least in India, I've been blessed to have been deeply associated with their work, and have been a tool in propagating their work. I am very happy to share my experiences with in the work of this Jaipur foot here in India and in Manila, where I've been associated with this centers, which we set up, my wife and myself, about 35 years ago, and they're doing very well even today. This is a story of moving the beneficiaries from despair to delight and joy. Today, I'm going to apprise you about the Jaipur foot and its parent organization, Bhagwan Mavi Viklang Sahayata Samiti, PM VSS for short, and how an illiterate but highly skilled and gifted craftsman developed this Jaipur foot from his own resources, despite rebuffs from the doctors whom he showed this innovation of his. So let us begin with this. But I hope many of you are familiar with this Jaipur foot, and some of you may not be, but I would suggest that you will be better informed about it now. And I would tell you an incident that we had. Mr. Goel, a distinguished member of the service and a senior member of the service, was posted as Chief Commissioner of Income Tax in Jaipur. And he was deputed on a course to Harvard Business School, few months course. And when he went there, he was, along with his other course material, he was given a study of the Harvard Business School about Jaipur food. Now, he learned all about Jaipur food from that study, but inside him, he felt very guilty that he had come here to America to learn about the Jaipur food, which came from a place where we are currently serving sometime. So when he returned to India, he immediately came to our center, met my brother D.R. Mehta. He came with his wife, and for the rest of his term, he was a constant visitor to our center, and Mrs. Goel was a volunteer for all the period that they remained in Jaipur. So I would hope that none of you face this conundrum when you go for a course abroad, either in UK or US, where they have done studies about Jaipur food. Okay, I'll now start. The Jaipur food. For the Jaipur food, the parent body is the Bhagwan Mahavir Viklang Sahayata Samiti. It was set up in 1975 by my brother, as Mr. Mishra has already indicated. And he continues to work full time for the same. And we are all working for the same. And I've also been blessed to have been associated with it right from the beginning. In fact, it was started by a small donation of rupees 250 by my mother and my mosi. And then we all chipped in, and it grew up. And today, it is a huge Vatraksh that you see with its branches and roots all over the world. It's a totally non-religious, non-sectarian organization. And the only guiding principle it has is the compassion taught by Lord Mahavir. The objective of the PMVSS is to restore the mobility and dignity of the disabled. And I'm emphasizing the word dignity because that is one of the hallmarks of our institution, that we try to maintain and restore his dignity when he is with us or when he is going back to the society. In fact, the problem is very large in the whole of our country. By 2011 census, we have about 68 lakhs of people suffering from locomotor disability. And it's a huge challenge to meet that. And then there are annual accretions as well. The capacity in the country is limited. So we are trying to expand our reach, but we have still a long way to go, miles to go. We have been providing these links. We started in 1975 with a mere 59 limbs in a year. And today we are benefiting about 90,000 disabled every year. A move from mere 59 to 90,000 annually. This includes Jaipur foot limbs, calipers, wheelchairs, tricycles, crutches, and various other assistive devices for the disabled. Since 1975, PMVSS has cumulatively assisted about 1.9 million people total. And we are, as I said, we are going at the rate of about 90,000. We wanted to scale it up to 100,000 very soon, but these 2 years of pandemic have been a break from that. We have 26 branches all over India, and we have 5 branches abroad. The first one was set up by me when I was in Manila in 1989. Formally, it was Mavi Philippine Foundation was set up in 1989. But before that, we used to get teams which would stay at my house and they would fit these people in the Philippines. So globally, we have 5 branches. They are in Colombia, in Mauritius, in Afghanistan, and you would be surprised to know 2 in Pakistan. We have, while taking, we are taking care of all the disabled in India, but we are also looking at the serving the disabled outside India. And we have, so apart from the centers that we have set up as joint ventures or associate centers, we have organized about 80 field camps in 34 countries so far. In fact, just now, the Ministry of External Affairs of Government of India has an MOU, exclusive MOU with us for the last 3 years to organize 1 field camp every month in one of the foreign countries close to us in Asia or in Africa or in Latin America. And we have done a number of these countries. These missions, these field camps are in countries which are affected by civil strife or war, civil wars, and they are very hazardous. But these are the places where we go. Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Vietnam. These are the kind of countries we go. Even within our own country, I've been to Kashmir and held camps in Kupwara and Baramulla. And just 10 days ago, we had another camp north of Kupwara in Farkian, where my brother had gone, D.R. Mehta. And this was at a height of 9,000 feet. And this camp was organized with the help of the GOC Western Command. You see, going to these countries has many challenges. Our teams face a lot of difficulty there, sometimes because of the civil strife, sometimes because of other political reasons. In fact, I can narrate briefly my own experience. I was going to Afghanistan. We had a camp there, and we had decided that the first part of the camp will be headed by my brother as a mission leader, and the second part I'll go there when he comes back. So he had come back, and I was going to Kabul, and our plane was about to land in Kabul. And the air controller there sent a message to the pilot. We are under rocket attack. You are under rocket attack. And please try to abort your landing if possible. Luckily, the pilot could abort his landing and climb up again. And we were halfway back to India, Delhi. And then he got a message again, the pilot, that we have now cleared the airport and you can come back. So pilot also decided to go back. We landed at Kabul airport, and our people showed there 4 helicopters of President Karzai, which had been completely wrecked by the rocket fire. And they told us that if you had landed anybody on the tarmac at that time, you would have also been in this ship, including the passengers. But the point I'm making is that in spite of that, neither I came back nor any of our workers who were already there, they suggested that we should go back. They're all committed to the work. They said, we have come here for this work. So let it be finished for this work, and then we'll only go. So this is the kind of thing that we have. Now, at the heart of this Jaipur Foot technology, Jaipur Foot is the Jaipur Foot piece. I'm sorry, I missed out one thing at the beginning. I had mentioned, people, that when I mentioned Mrs. Sudha Chandran is our brand ambassador for Jaipur Foot. for many years now. And when I mentioned to her that we are going to have this webinar of the senior income tax officers and requested her to give a message, she very kindly agreed. And she gave a audio message. So if we are ready, we can play that message now for welcoming, for addressing this gathering.
Yes, sir. I'll just share it.
Hi, this
Her
is
right,
Sudha.
her right leg is
A very good afternoon to all the participants. I am so very happy to know that the National Academy of Direct Taxes of the Income Tax Department is organizing an All India Management and Soft Skills webinar for its principal chief commissioners, and other senior officers, focusing on transformational leadership. I'm further delighted that the program includes under social and ethical studies the Jaipur foot story. And it gives me immense pleasure to be talking about my experience and my great transformation by using the Jaipur foot limb. Well, talking about the Jaipur foot, as you all know, I'm Sudha Chandran, who has been using a Jaipur foot for the last, I think, from the year 1985 when I met with an accident in 1981. And that was the time when the Jaipur Foot was awarded the Raman Mastery Award. And I would always say that it was God sent, because that was the time when I really didn't know where would life take me from there. Because after the accident, I was a dancer and I had lost my right leg below the knee. And everybody told me that you can never dance again. But I think probably my trust in the Jaipur foot, I went.
Sorry, there seems to be a problem.
okay. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it later. As I was saying, I would now like to briefly apprise you about why the Jaipur foot is so useful functionally. It is superior to the Western designs. And what is it? So, can you please show that slide about the products of the MBSS? Slide for the products of BMBS.
Yes, playing it. I'm sharing my screen.
Yes. Now you see here to the leftmost item, that is the foot piece, that is ankle down, and this is the heart of the Jaipur limb. As you see, thereafter you have the complete limb. The shank is made on top of that separately and fitted, and then there's a belt. Third item. Fourth item from the left is above the knee. Third was below the knee. Fourth is above the knee. And fifth is this new Stanford knee that we jointly developed with the Stanford University in 1989. And this is another version of the above knee prosthesis with Stanford knee. So Stanford knee I'll talk later, but basically I want to talk about this Jaipur foot, the ankle piece, ankle below foot piece. It's a human look-alike thing and cosmetically similar to the human foot, with toes and big toe and small toe visible. And then the flexibility, the important part is the flexibility at the joint just below the toes, big toes, and flexibility at the ankle joint that we call torsion, inversion, eversion, which gives us the flexibility of a human leg. Then you can turn around, you can swivel around like that, and you can sit squat-legged all this is built up in this. And this was made, as I mentioned at the beginning, by a gifted, illiterate craftsman, very skilled one. He made it, he initially conceptualized it and talked to doctors. Doctors rebuffed him. You know nothing, don't poke your nose. He still persisted, spent his own money, he procured his own materials, scrap materials, by the way. For instance, you see the rubber he bought from the puncture wala, the roadside cycle punctures fixing. In those days, we used to have a lot of them. So he went to him. He learned the rubber technology. That means how you melt the rubber and how you patch up the holes in the tubes, etc. And with that, and spending his money on preparing a metal die, he prepared the first prototype, which had these flexibilities at the ankle joint and the metatarsal joint, which is the place below the, just after the big toes. And when he again persisted and went to the doctor and said, how about this now? And when the doctor saw this, he really was flabbergasted. He said, my God. And then, of course, they came round to helping him out and guide him a little. And that's how Jaipur Foot was born. So this, inside this, you have microcellular rubber, pieces of wood, and tire cord fabric, which gives it strength. You know, the fabric which is used inside the car tires, which has strong thread inside and the rubber and all compound. That is also used in this. So these are the few things that go inside this and make it strong, stable, and still give it flexibility. The other beautiful thing about this is that while in the Western design, you have to wear a shoe on top of the artificial foot. Without that, you cannot walk, you cannot have your balance. But in Jaipur foot, the design is such that you can walk either barefoot or with a shoe, both. And because of that, there are certain advantages. I will talk of that later. Then we come to the cost of this. Cost of this, that today, even today, is only equal to about $60. Whereas a similar limb in Western countries will cost anywhere between $10,000 to $12,000. It is not a multiple of hundreds, it may be many hundreds. So this is where the big advantage of this comes. It's a frugal technology at its best. Now, it's also called Gandhian technology. This name has also been given. I must narrate one incident to you. I think Mr. Arun Mishra also mentioned this, that when Mr. Tata had gone to US as the head of the India-US Business Council and met President Barack Obama at that time as a normal courtesy visit, then suddenly Mr. Barack Obama, President Obama, sprang a question on him, asking him, Mr. Tata, you have these frugal technologies, like at that time, nano was the flavor of the country, flavor of the world. It's a different matter. It failed because of commercial problems and all, but it spawned the small frugal engineering and small car components in a big way, for which benefits we are harvesting today. All the companies now are making these small cars, low-cost cars. It is because of those technologies that were developed at that time. Anyway, coming back to the story, President Obama asked Mr. Tata, why don't you give us your frugal technologies to us? And he mentioned both nano and Jaipur foot. Mr. Tata was startled, but anyway, he composed himself and he asked him a counter question. He said, Mr. President, I thought you are a very wealthy country and you would not need these frugal technologies. You have all your technologies, high-end technologies. So he interrupted him and he said, Mr. Tata, don't think America is all Washingtons and New Yorks. We also have Arizonas and and whatever other desert areas and all, and many backward areas. So don't you think that if we have these low-cost technology, frugal technologies, we'll be able to serve many more people, hundreds more people, 100 times more people with the same amount of money. After all, we also need money. We also have a limited budget. And in the same amount of money, we'll be able to take this to much larger number. So this technology has caught the attention of even the best in the world. It's a different matter that our taking it to US has faced a lot of challenges. In spite of Mr. President Obama's interest, we have not been able to make a breakthrough in America yet. There are reasons, commercial reasons for that. People who are already in this business, they fear that if this technology comes, which is low cost but not low quality, if this comes here, then their commercial business will be completely gone. So there have been many challenges like this. There are also legal challenges, etc. But this is how the Jaipur foot has revolutionized the particular technology. In this process, see, we are not resting on our laurels. We have been having tie-ups with the world's leading technological institutions. As I mentioned earlier, the Stanford Jaipur knee was developed in collaboration with the Stanford University in USA. Today we have collaboration with MIT in USA again, where we are having 3 products under development. And we are also developing with other IITs here in India, biomechanical hand. Hand is an area where we want to get into. We still don't have any very good product. So there also we want to go. As I mentioned, we have gone world over. And I mentioned about the program of the Ministry of External Affairs, India for Humanity programs. So this is the detail about this, but the few characteristics which distinguish Bhagwan Mahavir Viklang Sahayata Samiti and Jaipur Foot, I would like to dwell on them. They are some things which carry a lot of, should I say, I don't think I should be saying learnings, but still, yes, it does carry a lot of learnings in various forms. The first is we have devised a unique evolutionary healthcare model. What is it? It is, first component of that is compassion and care for Divyang Jans. Unless there's compassion and care, whatever you do, it is only half the story that you're taking care of. Then the second part of this is the walk-in service. That means we don't have any system of prior appointment. No one has to call us, seek a prior appointment few days later or whatever months later. We have a system whereby anybody can walk in on any working day. We have only one day off, Sunday. Every other day, any other person can walk in and get registered, and his work will start right away. If he's fit to be, he's evaluated right away, and if he's fit to be fitted, then his work will start right away. He doesn't have to go back. And because of the technology, it's a rapid fit technology. Because of this technology, a below-knee fitment is generally completed within a few hours, and the patient can be discharged after trial within the same day. Imagine what kind of benefit it gives to the poor people. Now, a person sitting in some rural area in Bihar or UP, he comes to our center and he wants to get a limb fitted. If he has to come here, he has to spend a lot of money. He has to forego his employment, and he has to face a lot of hardship physically also in traveling. So when he arrives here, if he has to again go back and come back for next appointment and come back for evaluation and come back for trial and come back for fitment and come back for this, which is the usual pattern in all the hospitals today. They take at least 5 to 7 visits over a period of 5 to 6 months to finish a fitment of an artificial limb. Here, he walks in, he is evaluated right away, he is fitted and tried, he tries, and as I said, a below knee limb patient, he goes back home the same evening. Imagine the relief that he gets. He doesn't have to come back again, he doesn't have to spend money. So this is something unique. It is helped, as I said, by our rapid fit technology of Jaipur Foot. And in fact, as I mentioned, it's a walk-in. In addition, so there's no question asked about registration and all, or prior registration. In Jaipur, we even have the facility of a dormitory. And if a patient comes at midnight with his escort, the guard there has the authority to admit him in the dormitory, and in the morning he'll be brought for evaluation, and the same procedure will start of having the fitment right away. So it saves a lot of physical and financial hardship for the patient. We are also trying to reach rural areas by our field camps. We organize field camps in different places, either in cities or towns near a cluster of rural areas, or we sometimes send our mobile vans too, which are complete workshops. So they go, and in smaller villages, they go and fit the patients. So this is the unique and revolutionary healthcare model, which has been adopted by Bhagwan Mahavir Viklang Sahayata Samiti. The next important characteristic that we have is the sustainability of this model. This question has been asked to us and to the power infinity as to how you sustain yourself when you provide it free to everyone. The question is, they say that, okay, you give it free to poor people, but why not charge to those who are fit to pay? Our answer is that if we do not charge anybody anything, then we are able to treat them with same dignity. All the patients, whether irrespective of their social status, we are able to treat them with the same dignity and status and care as the other person next to him who is maybe high up in society. And there is no distinction of societal status, gender, region, nothing. So everyone is treated equally. Those who can pay, they can pay separately, but not linked to their service or provision of a limb. Many people don't pay. Many people pay small amounts, but many still pay very generous amounts. So it is not as if those who are capable of paying, from them we don't get anything. We do get some. I think we get quite a lot from them. May not be as much if you were to charge them, but still, that is the way we are handling it. Then the third advantage of this is that when donors know that we are not charging anything from anyone, then they are more inclined to donate the money to the organization. They feel that they really genuinely need it. And then, you see, this matter has been a subject of study of many, as I mentioned, Harvard Business School, London School of Economics, IIM Bangalore, IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, and many other institutions. They have studied this. And finally, see, after explaining all this, we also tell them that please compare us, our business service is like a $1 billion business if you were to value it at the commercial prices prevalent in the West. So billion-dollar companies in Forbes list, those who started in 1975 or were in existence in 75, how many of them have survived? We have survived. So don't you think it is a sustainable model? Now, this is a rhetorical question. But there are some basic ingredients for sustaining this also. One is credibility is essential. The second is transparency. Donors should be convinced that every paisa that they donate is used for the purpose for which it has been donated, that is the provision of limbs and other assistive devices, and not splurged on other, peripheral things. Our centers are open books. Anyone can come there, see the operations, and satisfy himself with the work that we are doing. And in fact, I might mention to you that, as a policy, when some big donor is there, we feel comfortable. In fact, we tell them that before you write your check, if they have not seen the place, we tell them they have heard about it, the organization, and they feel compelled to make a big donation. We request them that please, before making a donation, if you were to visit our center and see the work, and then convince yourself, if you're convinced, do whatever you want to do. And this has happened many times, and they don't, go back on what they wanted to donate. Maybe in some cases they would even donated more. Here again, I might narrate an incident that it's a real incident I'm telling you. That there was one very, very rich industrialist. His operations all over the world. And while D.R. Mehta was chairman SEBI, a case pertaining to his company had come to him. And D.R. Mehta examined that case, and he found that there were a lot of problems, and he fined them. So naturally, the industrialist was very, hurt, and also very pained, and very angry too. Anyway, this was forgotten. My brother came back to Jaipur, and after many years, a call came from the office of this same industrialist. His private secretary called our office, saying that please give us the details of your bank account. We want to send some donation for your organization. So they gave the details in the normal course. The money came, but when D.R. Mehta got to know about this, he was perplexed. That he was a gentleman whom he had penalized, and he comes now after many years and makes a big donation to our organization. So anyway, he couldn't do anything. He didn't have any contact with him for many years. Then, as luck would have it, he met him accidentally at some airport. And he asked him directly, point blank. He said, Mr. So-and-so, I want to ask you this question. If I remember, when I was chairman SEBI, in a case of your company, I penalized the company. And you were very angry also, I know. And now you came and donated this big amount to our work. And you know what this industrialist said? He said, Mr. Mehta, you did your duty then, and I'm doing my duty now. So, this kind of incidents, they also uplift us. Now I'll come to the stories of transformation. I'll go through a few slides and videos very quickly. I think we are already, of course, we started late. So we should be fine within a few minutes. We'll be able. So first we can play this Sudha Chandran's audio if you are okay now. Can you play that, please?
Hi, this is Sudha Chandran. A very good afternoon to all the participants. I am so very happy to know that the National Academy of Direct Taxes of the Income Tax Department is organizing an All India Management and Soft Skills webinar for its principal chief commissioners and other senior officers, focusing on transformational leadership. I'm further delighted that the program includes under social and ethical studies the Jaipur Foot story. And it gives me immense pleasure to be talking about my experience and my great transformation by using the Jaipur foot limb. Well, talking about the Jaipur foot, as you all know, I'm Sudha Chandran, who has been using a Jaipur foot for the last, I think, from the year 1985, when I met with an accident 1981, and that was the time when the Jaipur Foot was awarded the Raman Magsaysay Award, and I would always say that it was God sent, because that was the time when I really didn't know where would life take me from there, because after the accident I was a dancer and I had lost my right leg below the knee, and everybody told me that you can never dance again. But I think probably my trust in the Jaipur foot, I went to Jaipur, got myself a Jaipur foot, and I started dancing. But yes, it did take me about 3 years to get back on stage. Nevertheless, today I am so very happy with the Jaipur foot. In fact, there are so many people who've been calling me up for different prosthetic limbs. But my answer is a blatant no, because Dr. Mehta Saab, who is heading the Jaipur Foot Center in Jaipur, more than the service of the Jaipur Foot, it's also the way you are welcome, the way they attend to you, the whole team stands by you just to ensure that you have a very normal life. And once again, a big thank you to Dr. Dr. Mehta, Dr. VR Mehta, for focusing on the needs of the specially challenged and giving a new lease of life. Today, people like Sudha Chandran are enabled to dream, follow a mission, and make it very, very successful is only and only because of what the Jaipur Foot has done for all of us. Thank you once again, and I wish this function a grand success.
This can be, okay, are you ready with the other slides now? 1 minute. Before you play, let me say a few words. These slides will include stories of the amputees' thrill to see their despair changing to delight and joy. I have often seen some congenitally disabled persons who were born without one or more legs being fitted with Jaipur foot and are able to stand on their own. They cannot believe that they, who had all along been dependent on a crutch, could stand on their own feet now, so to say, and walk and run and do many other chores like a normal being. And when they face this, or when they first time move with this limb, Jaipur foot limb, they unashamedly have tears of joy rolling on their cheeks. This kind of scenes I've seen repeatedly during my visits to various centers and various camps all over the world. And this is something which gives us a lot of energy, a lot of satisfaction of the kind of, transformation that they have. That is, they start beginning to dream now. They get wings to fly, as Prime Minister Modi said in his tweet. You'll see that later. There are these slides which are both heart-rending also. That is when the patient comes in. For instance, the patient without both the limbs crawling on his knees, the patient with both his legs gone from the hip joints, and he is a mere torso sitting on a wheelchair. That is really heartrending. But when you see the transformation of these people to more mobile and more independent persons, they're not fully mobile because of the massive disability that they had. But still, in spite of that, when they find themselves mobile, more independent, the joy, that is heartwarming. So I think we can look at those now. Please start now. Next one, please. This is, I mentioned about the Stanford knee. I think we can move on. This is a knee. This tells the story of the Jaipur foot in a nutshell. The boy, his name is Denny. In fact, he is now working with us in the Jaipur Center. He lost his left leg and he came in with that amputated leg. You see on the leftmost picture. Then in the next picture, you see him being fitted with an artificial limb. And then he's able to climb a tree, he's able to run. Mind you, all this is in one day. Next slide, please. He's an actual person, Denny. This is, again, a very heartwarming story. I was in Vietnam with our team, and we fitted a 5-year-old boy with a Jaipur foot limb. And you see him now nonchalantly walking and running, even outrunning me. Next, please. These are two slides. One is in Iraq. My brother was there, Dr. Mehta. You can see him there in the leftmost picture. And here, the second picture is in Afghanistan when I went there. And this is with the Afghan person with the artificial limb. You can see me there also in the background. Next one, please. This is another story in Vietnam where we had fitted an artificial hand. And this lady is now opening a bottle, picking up a bottle, opening a bottle, drinking water. She's very happy, obviously, smiling. And back she puts the bottle on the table and screws the cap. Next one, please. Here you see the incredible things being done. There's a boy skating. His right leg is the Jaipur foot. And on the right, these are two pictures of the same boy, Vinod Rawat. These are all actuals. You see, it's not all, some imagined ones. In one picture, he's running a bike. In the other one, he's running a half marathon, 21 kilometers. Next one, please. These are the slides at our Delhi center when we had a visit of the wife of the president of Vietnam. President had come here visiting and his wife had come to our center to see our operations. And then after that, they asked us to hold the camps there in Vietnam. So here she is sitting on the right picture, and she's seeing one in the far distance, you can see an amputee running in. And in the left picture, you'll see how this enthusiasm catches up. There's one boy who is fitted with artificial limb or his left leg. He was dancing. And the energy and enthusiasm caught up so much that the wife of our ambassador in Vietnam, who had also accompanied the First Lady of Vietnam, she got up and started dancing with this boy. This is how it's infectious. Next one, please. I was mentioning this particular thing about being able to walk with and without shoes. Now, this, many people don't realize what it does. See, if you go to a mosque or a temple, you have to take off your shoes. Otherwise, you'll not be allowed entry inside. And if you have a Western limb, then you just cannot take off the shoe. Then you'll not be able to hold your balance, not be able to walk. But in our design, since we can take off the shoe and walk barefoot, the people go inside. You have two people praying inside the mosque. Same person I'm saying. He's able to bend at his knee. Also, this flexibility at the ankle joint comes in both in his squatting position and in his kneeling position, and similarly in the temple also. Next, please. Here are the two videos in Tanzania when I'd gone there. This is the lady on the right. She's fitted with his leg just then. And after a few walks up and down of the trial, she's now so happy she's able to walk and dance even. On the left side is the video of a small 2-year-old boy taking the first steps with a Jaipur foot. With his mother, of course. See how happy she is, the lady in the blue. Next one, please. This is the picture I was mentioning to you. Both his legs are virtually gone from the hip joint. And he is like a living vegetable. He can't move at all on his own. Now you see, after treatment for both the legs, it requires a lot of determination also on the part of the beneficiary.
Sir, we have to rush a little bit, sir.
Just 1 or 2 more only. Nothing much. See, I want you to see this particularly, how now he's able to go from his wheelchair, his scooter, 3-wheeler, and ride it. He's doing it all by himself. And now off he goes. This is our center, Delhi center. You can go to the other one, please. Other slide, yes. This one again, as I mentioned, the left picture shows how he's crawling on his knees. He has no legs. And then in the other video, he's walking on his own. Without any stick, without any help from anybody. Bilateral, we call it bilateral, both limbs. Next, please. This is 2017, October. Prime Minister Modi had visited Manila for some international conference. And he came and saw our center. And he interacted with a lot of amputees. And here's a small 10-year-old boy whom we asked, what will you do now? And this is Mr. Modi's tweet on his Twitter account. He said, I want to be a policeman, my young friend told me. Glad to see the Jaipur Foot giving wings to the aspirations of many youngsters like him. Next one, please. This is a picture of the board of Mahavir Philippine Foundation, which is now running the centers in Manila. Next one, please. This is another visit of our high dignitary, President Ramnath Kovind, in November 2019. Again, I went with him and escorted him to our center. He is interacting with the various amputees who have been fitted with limbs. He and his wife are very impressed.
Sorry, sir, we have to finish it
Yeah,
now.
we have closed it now. It's over. I think I've finished it. Thank you.
Okay, sir, I hope the participants liked it and they are inspired by your words, your work, and your dedication and your commitment. I'm very sure that our participants will be wanting to associate with you. In fact, from our department also, we'd like to get the Jaipur foot and Jaipur arm for all those people who haven't got it.
I only hope that they don't find themselves in the same country that Mr. Goel has to face.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir, on behalf of NADT and DTRTI, I profusely thank you, profusely thank you. And I want to convey to you that all the participants are raising their hands. They are rising in your respect, and they are all fully committed to you, and they are very happy to hear you today. And this will have a big impact for our department. So with those words, a big thank you to you once again.